Hey everyone, here is Daniel Buday, the new episode of our ecom show, and today I'm here with Luke Ellison, and he's the founder of Tooth of the Arrow. And this is a very interesting brand. I think in this niche, I've never interviewed any companies. Even I had more than 200 episodes now, so very interesting interview today. Before that, I have to give a shout out to InfluencerCandy because actually they connected us, and InfluencerCandy is a part of Referral Candy, and this is a company that has been helping e-commerce businesses for more than 10 years now, have more than 30,000 e-commerce merchants up to date. And if you need help with referrals or influencer marketing, then reach out to them, shoot me a message, an email, and I can connect them with you. But they do a great job, and Luke will also talk about it today besides his brand. Hey Luke, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
So let's start with your origins. What's the founder story? How did you start this quite unique brand?
Yeah, I think it's somewhat unique, but yet somewhat similar to a lot of founder stories. My background originally out of college was commercial real estate. So I was doing office leasing, uh, corporate transactions, and I was just getting a little burnt out. An opportunity came up um, to kind of spearhead this new venture in archery. So we also my family has a small manufacturing company, and it's a job shop. So business kind of ebbs and flows. Some months you're really busy, some months you're a little bit slower. Just kind of depends on the pace of the work that's coming in. And there's an opportunity to make our own archery product to kind of backfill that downtime. And it was really just it started off as a side project, just kind of a pet project. I started to take the lead on it while still doing real estate, and it was just one of those things you did at nights, did on weekends, kind of like a lot of founder stories. And then as it continued to grow, it became a full-time thing. And then several years ago, took the dive and started to run it full-time. Since then, we've grown it quite a bit. Several employees that work for us now, and we've carved a nice little niche within the marketplace. So it's been a good journey. Learned a lot, but a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great. So let's tell the listeners and the viewers. So what is the product, and also how is it different than your competitors?
Yep. So we manufacture, for those that are not familiar with archery, for bow hunting, we manufacture it's called the broadhead. It's the arrow tip. So it's the sharp part of the arrow that you hunt with. Very niche, very small marketplace. Um, most, so historically, there's been a lot of US made companies. As things got more competitive, a lot of manufacturing did go overseas, went east, and it started to come back to American manufacturing. And we were fortunate enough to be a US based manufacturer, and we found a way through automation. We do control a couple patents on it, on the automating process within the manufacturing of it, that we were able to cut out somewhere between 35 to 40% of the actual cost to manufacture it. So we produce a very high quality product at, for our industry, is more of a middle of the road pricing. So it's a very unique value proposition that we offer to our customers.
Hmm. What's the price point of these products?
Yep. So industry standard is typically three per a pack. And depending on, we have a couple different sizes. They range from $40 to $45 for a 3-pack. In our industry, you can spend upwards of $100 on a 3-pack. Is kind of the upper threshold.
I see. And I guess in this field, in archery, it's not a huge amount because I'm not familiar with it. I know some archers, some
Yep.
guys in the US who do it. They are passionate about it. And, once you have a passion, then you are okay to spend big amounts. And I guess
Yeah.
this amount is not a big
Yep.
one.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. It's people within the industry and who take part in it are very passionate about it. But it's not it's a different topic, but it's not growing that fast. It's a very stable industry. You're typically born into a family of hunters,
Okay.
or you start at a very early age. Very, very few people take it up later in life. So because of that, if you're been doing your whole life, you're typically very, very passionate about it. But it can be very intimidating for those who are just trying to break in and try for the first time.
Yeah.
So it has remained very small, especially when you compare it to rifle hunting or fishing or any other kind of called outdoor hunting industry.
Yeah, but probably archery has been becoming more popular, and maybe it gains more territory compared to rifle shooting, rifle hunting, right?
It
That's what I can
it
see.
it has. Given the political environment, there's been some pushback against rifle hunting. There's been some changes in laws, and actually, surprisingly enough, several years ago, when Hunger Games came out, the movie, that actually spurred a younger generation to pursue the sport, which was actually it was really cool to see. Boys and girls in their teens wanting to get involved in youth archery. So that was really, really cool to see. And it did slow back down after the, I guess, the series. Three movies came out. But as far as I can tell, those who picked it up, the majority stuck with it and really enjoy it. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great. I also tried it when I was young, and that is definitely a group of people who are very passionate about it. So
Absolutely, and that brings up a lot of challenges when you're a newer company, because a lot of the companies in the industry are very well established and have been around for a long time. So
Mhm.
it's quite unique because yes, it is a commodity item. People are buying it, but at the same time, there's very strong brand loyalty. So it creates a kind of unique marketing aspect to launching a company.
Yeah, makes sense. And so you mentioned that your product is more affordable, partly because of the manufacturing. And what's the current landscape in this industry? How many big companies there are and old companies? And is there anything else that you could use for your advantage?
Yeah, so there's 3 to 5 very large companies that have a dozen or more subsidiary brands underneath their parent umbrella. Um, and then there's a lot of kind of called mid-level companies. And then there's, oh gosh, 30, 40, 50 plus companies that are our size, but are even smaller than us. But it's quite unique because depending on what product you are selling, the barrier to entry can be quite low. So there are a lot of companies that start up out of someone's passion
Mm.
that stay relatively small, but versus something like a broadhead like us, we're kind of middle of the road for barriers to entry. Ours is a little bit more because we have the manufacturing tied to it, so there's quite a bit of upfront costs in the manufacturing side of it. But then when you get up to at the big ticket items, the actual bow itself,
Mhm.
those are extremely high barriers to entry. So there's very few bow companies out there. But all in all, the landscape, it's still it's predominantly kind of mid-level, still locally owned companies, which is nice to see. And you do have
Sort
a
of
lot
family
of
businesses, I guess, right?
yeah, exactly. And you do have quite a few local archery shops around the country that sell products, that sell archery specific products. At last count, there was between 2 and 3 thousand local archery shops around the country. So it is still a very young industry in terms of acquisitions by
Yeah,
large companies just scooping up the smaller ones.
makes sense. And what marketing channels have you used to get more customers?
Yep. So we do both direct to consumer and brick and mortar. Pre-COVID, we were really focusing on brick and mortar. Just given my business to business sales background, that's where I felt most comfortable. When COVID hit, we had to quickly pivot and kind of reiterate how we were our go to market. Because at that time, like everyone else, we weren't sure if brick and mortars were going to open again or kind of what that landscape was going to look like. So we really focused on the direct consumer side there. Our for tech, it's Shopify is what we use for our platform. We actually brought in a 3PL, so all of our fulfillment is actually done out of Texas. We don't use Amazon. Strategically, we wanted to control our customers. So we do a partner who is our Amazon partner who sells for us. But all of our marketing efforts are done through our Shopify site. Our biggest ones, in terms of marketing, Google Ads and email. Those are our highest. Email is by far the highest return ad spend. InfluencerCandy referrals, that's quite high up there too. Followed by the pay-per-click stuff.
That's amazing to hear. Google Ads, I can imagine people, they look for the product, so they just type it in, they find it. So
yep.
Yeah. But regarding influencer marketing, so how does it really work? How have you used this tool?
So for us, kind of as I mentioned earlier, people have very strong brand loyalty within our industry, within archery and within hunting. So instead of being a commodity, let's say, white socks, people don't really have a loyalty to white socks. But when it comes to broadheads, they really want to see peer-to-peer recommendations. They really want to trust your brand and trust what you can deliver. And using something like an InfluencerCandy that has more micro influencers who have a very good understanding of what their user base wants and wants to hear and likes, and they've already have a trust built up with them. By going through those channels, we've actually been able to very quickly develop trust with those new customers. So that's been one of the biggest reasons why we've seen success with the influencer marketing, especially on the micro side.
Yeah. I think probably that's the number one thing if you want to make it successful with influencers, that you need people who really understand their audience, and because you can see so many, and if the product fits their audience or not, and they don't do it just because of money, because nowadays we can see so many influencers, they just sell their soul. And
we've actually seen better returns from influencers that have a relatively small following compared to those who have a large following. The smaller ones have such a more intimate relationship with their followers. They know exactly what they want, what they like, and when they tell, when they put a video out, say, hey, we really like these and they do work, and as a company, we believe in our product too, so we're delivering, what we believe in. It goes a long way, and it's, in terms of top of funnel, the brand awareness, it's been very successful on that front. So I really, it's been good to us in terms of our return on it. It's been a good use of marketing dollars.
So I'm not much into hunting. I'm interested in it, but I don't have time for everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So there are actual hunting influencers or hunters, basically.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's again, very niche, relatively small. But those that are doing it, especially on the influencer side, they do want to grow their own personal brand. But they're doing it because they love it. If they were just in it to try to be a quote unquote influencer, they would pick a different market. They would pick something that has a much more broad appeal, and that they could grow and scale their own personal brand quicker. But the ones that we work with, they do it because they absolutely love it, which is great because that really resonates in the content they produce. And we found that those smaller kind of mid-sized influencers have a great understanding of their audience.
Yeah. When it comes to platforms, what platforms are we talking about? Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, maybe written?
Almost all YouTube. We have tried. So our call it our perfect customer is about a 32-year-old male, and so TikTok, non-existent. Something like a Pinterest, non-existent. Instagram, hit or miss. But I love evergreen content. So YouTube has been just fantastic, especially because there's a huge seasonality to hunting. It's, a company like ours will do 2/3 our revenue in Q3, with most of it being in late August to mid-September. So it's a very long sales cycle, just given how hunting is. So evergreen content, stuff on YouTube is fantastic because we can still work with micro influencers in early spring, and the content stays relevant come fall. So I would say 90% of our spend for influencers is on YouTube.
Wow, yeah, YouTube is amazing, and I think it's still undervalued. Maybe because the barrier of entry is higher than with TikTok and Instagram, for sure.
It absolutely is. I think it's very intimidating to people. But if you look at the quality of videos that some of our influencers put out, they're very lowbrow, and I mean that in a very nice way. They're very real footage, and I think with their target audience, that very real non-studio footage resonates extremely well. But I would agree that it's much easier just to snap a picture of a product and throw it up on Instagram. It's much easier for people, but the ones on YouTube that are doing it, they have a passion for it. And I've seen it. It's been very good to us.
Yeah, I agree. And I also use it for my own company, and best channel for sure. So let's talk about InfluencerCandy a bit. When did you meet this company, and how did you use it? How did they help you?
Yeah, so originally we were using ReferralCandy through our Shopify site, just for the referral aspect of the business, because we have found through post-purchase surveys that at the time we were only generating about, I'd have to look back, but it was sub 10% of new customers from referrals, and that was very light from what it should have been. So we started with ReferralCandy. And then they actually, with InfluencerCandy, we were one of their beta testers. So we started off with them right away. We were, before they actually even had like a full-on program going, we started up with them. And, there's a period of trying to figure out what worked for us. We at first, we tried Instagram, and we tried all the different platforms. And before we settled on YouTube being the best. So we've been working with them now for 2.5 years, maybe almost 3 years. With InfluencerCandy, ReferralCandy we've been with for 5+. I'd have to look back, but it's been a while.
Yeah, that's amazing. So you use both at the moment.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, it's easy. It's for us, it's a plug and play. Their reporting's good. Again, being a small company, I don't oversee it personally. I do have someone who's head of the sales that handles it, but the reporting's good. I think their pricing model is very fair. They've been good to us. They're responsive. And just because the micro influencing, it is so niche, for a business like us going after big influencers that want big checks, just it doesn't make sense. So it works out well for us.
Yeah, I think it could work and already works for many companies like yours, where micro influencers and these micro niches, smaller niches, not like a big mainstream product, not beauty or skincare. But there are hundreds of thousands of businesses like this. So
it's so hard. Put an example out there. Let's use even numbers. Let's say you have say you're a small company, you have $1,000 influencer, budget. You want someone that has a decent following. That doesn't get you one person. That gets you absolutely nowhere. But with InfluencerCandy or a small micro influencers, that might get you 20 videos, 30 videos out there. And the reach is basically just as good when you add the reach up across and you look at the engagement and all the different metrics. It's just as good as not better. So I think if someone is not doing influencer marketing, I think they're missing a big opportunity. I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. There has to be other channels to do it and whatnot, with retargeting and everything else you can get into that way. But it's very easy to get involved in, and I think it's a very high in terms of return ad spend. It's one of the higher ones that you can do for paid advertisement.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about email marketing, because you mentioned it and you put this into the top 3 marketing channels for acquisition. And I'm a bit surprised because, people, they usually say we have Facebook ads, influencers, Google ads, and email works on the back end, but it's not really acquisition. But how does it work for you?
Yep. So obviously we, bottom of funnel, the repeat business, email is great there. You can drive order values, you can drive, number, how often order frequency and everything else too that way. But for us, we've found that people are, being a smaller company, especially if they're referred, via micro influence or something, they're pretty likely to sign up for our newsletter. And through our drip emails, we've done a lot of A/B testing and a lot of optimization. We've been able to build a very quick and good rapport with our customers through the initial kind of welcome drip campaigns. And so for us, the new customer side, email's pretty big. It's higher than most people would think on the new customer acquisition. Obviously, like most people, the existing customers, email is a no-brainer, in terms of driving repeat business. But yeah, for us, it's been pretty high up on the acquisition side, on kind of top of funnel, which has been surprisingly good. We put a lot of effort into it.
That's amazing. So you get their email first, and they get into a welcome flow or something similar, and then they convert in the end. But they get these drip emails, you build trust.
It's a long path. For us, it's a lot of touch points. I'd have to go back and look at the analytics, but I bet we're 10 to 15 touch points before the first conversion, at least. If you look at the customer path, I mean, it can be YouTube, drip emails, YouTube, another email, a remarketing ad, then a conversion. I mean, it's a long path. I mean, it's a 30+ day path. And so those emails have gone a long way in building trust, enough so that they're willing to give our product a try. So it's a lot of messaging about, money back guarantees, who we are as a brand, what we stand for, and really just what we offer. So it's been a lot of trust building in those drip emails.
Yeah, that's great. And multiple touch points. I think it's every year it's more a thing, like everyone has to do it now, like it's inevitable. So
yeah, it really is. I mean, it's the conversion paths take a long time sometimes, and it can be pretty hard to track too. But it's been good.
Yeah. So what would be the one thing you would advise brands that are thinking about referral programs and influencer marketing, but they haven't moved yet? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I would say it's going more and more that way. With all the privacy stuff that's going on, tracking, it's going to be a lot harder. Market segmentation, I think long term is going to be harder. And things are becoming very personal. People feel like they really know influencers in today's day and age. So I just think if you're trying to build trust with a potential customer quickly, influencer marketing is the absolute way to go. It's one of the easiest ways, and it doesn't have to be expensive. You don't need a $100,000-$200,000 influencer budget to get started in it. I think every company should be doing it and should be focusing on it too.
Yeah. And my last question. So what would be your number one advice to small e-commerce businesses like yours, maybe in a smaller niche, a lot of influencers, but now let's zoom out, let's not just talk about it.
Don't be afraid to try stuff. Don't be afraid if something's working a little bit, don't feel like you gotta stick with it. Something else might work even better. So don't don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to, change your modeling up a little bit. And keep testing. Test everything. Because as you scale and as you grow, the smallest changes really can reap big benefits in terms of bottom line when you optimize. So yeah, just anyone starting off or just getting going, just keep at it. That's really it. I mean, you got to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, you're gonna get burnt out, and it's become very frustrating sometimes. But yeah, just have fun with it and keep experimenting.
Yeah, I agree. And also it adds up. So you get better and better each and every day, and you learn even if you fail. And many times you will win for the first try, and it just all adds up and you become better. Yeah,
it does. And every brand's different, and what works for one brand's not gonna work for the other brand. For us, YouTube's fantastic. For someone else, it might be TikTok or Instagram. It's just, for us, top of funnel email works pretty well. For some people, it might have no impact really or minimal impact. So it really figuring out what resonates with your customer base and figuring out exactly who you're marketing to. And that takes a while sometimes, especially when you're starting off, it takes a while to figure out exactly what you should be doing and how to market to them correctly.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks a lot, Luke. It was a great story today.
Excellent.
And, shout out to InfluencerCandy again and ReferralCandy. And thanks everyone who watched this episode or will listen to the podcast. And stay tuned because every week I come out with 2 new episodes with great e-commerce founder stories. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Thank you.